Well, good morning, family. I know you waiting to see those lovely faces. We coming. We in the building. I told you it's on and popping like hot butter popcorn. Yours truly, Joe Dupree from 100 BLK, the Black Station. My brother from another mother, brother Fatim from the open line, online, and keeping it real with Al Sharpton at 107.5 WBLS New York. My girl Jax out there in Brick City, the art therapist, the life strategist, the author, and the celebrity speaker. You know, she do a lot of talking. We all in the building. What's happening, family? Good morning. It is Tell the Truth Tuesday. 3 minutes past the hour, the 21st day of May. And all I can say is good morning. How y'all doing?
Good. I love that. I love that artwork behind you. That's that. When people see that artwork, they know your ass in a hotel. So that's hotel artwork right there.
It is what it is, man.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hot morning here.
Yeah. I want to say congratulations to Sister Jax. Congratulations yesterday. You had a fabulous day. So I know you'll fill us in. What's fill us in, sis?
Yes. It's shopping up. But yes, it was amazing. I had such a great time with those families and speaking with the students and seeing how many of them, like, they completed the requirements set. So they did a phenomenal job. I had a great time. Everyone left out of the room excited, inspired, in tears, and it just impacted them so much. And you know what?
Wherever Jax is at, her internet service is spotty.
Is not the best. So we're going to pull Jackie Jax out for a minute. She'll be back, family. Her gets the Megatroid. Just give her a few seconds. We'll have her right back on. Brother Fatim, I see you in that Dallas Cowboy gear. Since I'm in the great state of Texas, you must have had Texas on your mind. Did you?
I had the Houston Astros. Well, it wasn't the Houston Astros. It was the Negro team from Houston. But, you know, a lot of people, I had the Houston Astro hat on to match the shirt. And I decided, you know, your folks that are just got one sport in your town or city or state, you know, with just basically football. So, you know, like you have Alcohol Anonymous. So those that are Football Anonymous that are fiending for football, I just do a little taste of a little bit of football this morning. You know, I got so much baseball gear. I can go with the baseball gear every day, but I just switch up a little bit, just let you know what's going on. But, Joe, how you doing, my brother?
Brother, I am well rested after last night. Lord have mercy. Yesterday was of course, as you know, we took the show on the road. Most of it was being broadcast on my part from the vehicle. Now I'm kind of settled in. Tomorrow we'll be back live in studio. At least that's my hopes, that tomorrow we'll be back live in studio. I may still be in the H-Town, but nevertheless, we're gonna, you know, we're here, we're in the building, and good morning to everybody who's in the chat. I see y'all in the chat. I see y'all, and good morning to Mr. Michael Keith. Good morning to Miss Walls. Good morning to Miss Williams, Mr. Guidry. You know, my man said, shout out to Mr. Charlie. Why did Douglas Guidry said, shout out to Mr. Charlie.
That's our character on this show.
Well, you know, shout out to Mr. Charlie. We're going to try to get our girl Jax back on, but we got
I want you to skip over Michael Keith and Creisha. Brigman, because she is in Florence, and I just want to. She
Hey, Miss
comes
Brigman.
on, and I don't shout her out when I do see her, so I want to shout my sister out because when she does come on, she does give us support. So I just want to make sure that we get her in, and of course, Sister Jewel. Wow, you got to tell me how to pronounce that name. I say it Waul.
Wall.
Wall. Okay, there you
Like
go.
wall, like a wall.
Okay, cool. There you go. Because I don't want to mess up. KC. Oh, KC, I'm gonna have a nickname for you soon. I gotta iron it out because you present different sides sometimes. But one thing about you is compromise. You know what I'm saying? And you stand. I'm not gonna continue to use what Joe says, stand 10 toes down, but you stand on principle. And like we say,
standing on business.
Standing on business, as we say in our brotherhood, you standing on the square.
She's standing on business.
There you go. I like that. I like a woman like that. It's interesting. As long as they're not bullheaded. When they strong, but they know when there's respect, and they stand on business. But they have that soft side is good. That's another thing. Alpha males and alpha females, though. Those are interesting people to deal with, and I've heard alpha females said that if they dealt with the right, when I use the word right, I mean a righteous alpha, a man, they fall right in place. They fall right in place. And it's not about submissive of saying, I'm a slave to you. No, it's just that they don't have a problem with a man leading as a man. Because they understand that they can't push and start stepping all over a man, and that's the whole thing. And the same thing with that alpha male. He got a queen on his side, not behind him, but side by side. And sometimes she will lead. And we don't, and that's so important, in a relationship, when you have those type of dominant figures. And I know I have a cousin that's an alpha female, but when she got that alpha male, boom, she said, oh, I knew I couldn't do that. Oh, I knew I couldn't play with them. But those other guys that come with that weak stuff, we walk right all over them.
It's funny that you say that. And let's stay in this vein for a minute, because yesterday we got into the conversation and really didn't get a chance, I think, to really give it its just due with the Diddy situation. And so I like to look at the Diddy situation now from the perspective of how can we take what we have seen and bring about the change that we want to bring about. Because once again, domestic violence is real. And I encourage that if anyone out there experiencing any type of domestic violence, going through any type of traumatic situation, first, get a plan. B, we're going to give you a number later on in the show that you can call that can probably give you some direction on how to figure out a way out. And understand, you've got to have a plan, because these days and times, and it occurs every day, somebody loses their life due to domestic violence. And that should not be tolerated. It should not be celebrated. It should never be said, well, what did she do or what did he do to make them do that? At the end of the day, it just isn't acceptable. So the question is, after we see all this Diddyism that has been permeated throughout the media, what then do we do to put us in a position where we say, this is what we need to start doing to bring the numbers down? Because the numbers are way too high when you look at the events that are domestic violence related throughout this country and throughout our Black and brown communities, Brother Couture.
So I'm gonna go around the block because I kind of went the one way, you brought it back another way, because alpha and domestic violence, they can run hand in hand. So I'm gonna go back to come back to where you was at. So KC came back because she responded, I can't deal with a weak man. And when I brought that up for a reason, but I can bring it back full circle to what you're saying. Yeah, a weak man, some women, it turns a woman off. It turns a woman off when a man, is weak. It's just like somebody was saying, I don't have a problem with a man identifying with his emotions if he has to cry, but he can't cry all the damn time. Understand? On the other side, men some men look at the opposite of weak and trying to be strong is being abusive. So that ties into what you're saying, that some men look at strength is being raising their voice all the time, being abusive. Alpha, I've been around a couple of alpha males that don't have to raise their voice. I mean, unless they get mad. But I've seen them just walk in the room and just their presence, how they speak, how they carry themselves. They shut a room down. So some people confuse strength and strength as being abusive, or you have to kind of take control and always be right and always be boisterous. And you got to understand the difference. Now, you asked the question, how do we bring the numbers down? The problem is this is a interesting question, Joe. It's not just about bringing numbers down. It's about seeing the red flags before you really make commitments. Sometimes you don't see the red flags. Sometimes you get in a relationship, and I tell people, when two people, I take these 2 bottles of water. When 2 people come together, they're putting their best on the outside. The things, the baggage that they have is usually behind them. They keep it suppressed. Mm-hmm. But as time goes on, that's why I said you get in a relationship and you sleep with somebody right away and they get pregnant, and then you be like, oh, I got a baby with them. I'm gonna try to have a relationship with this person or that person, but they got baggage, they got red flags, and you didn't even give yourself a chance to see the red flags. That's how you cut down the numbers. You can't be in abusive relationships and say, I'm gonna cut down the numbers. You got to make better choices. Sometimes, again, you don't see it, and I give you that. But there's red flags that you see, but because you're emotional caught up, because the sex is good, because the money is good, you tolerate those things. But as time goes on, I'm talking to a friend now. I'm telling her now, her boyfriend is not abusive, she says, but he's like a ball and chain to her. And I'm like, you're young, he's young. You're going to run into a problem. You're going to get tired of it. And the longer you don't express this, the worse it's going to get in this damn relationship.
So the reason I said that is because, of course, social media and the internet is undefeated. And first of all, I saw a post this morning that made me giggle because it said, how do we get rid of these ditties out of our community? Because there are a lot of ditties in our community. And then somebody came back and said, yeah, because some of your daddies are ditties. And then, and then another person came back and said, yeah, and some of your mamas are ditties too. So the question is, how do we begin to address this, it's a wanting of power when you sit down and talk to people who diagnose these issues. How do we deal with this? How do we begin to say, instead of just conversation, and don't get me wrong, we're in the business of talking, but many a times talk turns into messy talk when we need to have some solid solutions. So, how do we begin, like I said, to look at this dittyism, because it's out there and it's not a ditty distraction.
I really don't want to use that title because it's Diddy today. It was somebody else the other day. So
right.
I don't want to call this Diddyism. I don't want to do that.
I'm calling it that because right now that's what everybody's talking about.
But it's not fair.
It's Diddy this, Diddy that. And at the end of the day, you're right. It's going to have a new name tomorrow. But at the core of it, what it is domestic violence. And how do we deal with those?
I think, and I'm not saying you're not listening, but Joe, I just said it. I mean, that's it. You got to realize that everybody has to deal with this as an individual situation. And if they're in an abusive relationship, they have to deal with it. There's no one size shoe fits all in this situation. So they have to deal with that. You can't put the cart before the horse. How do we bring the numbers down is you start teaching people, giving them tools of conflict resolution, how to see the red flag, making better choices. That's how you do it. I gave you the answer. The answer is there. You can't sit here and say, we got domestic violence all across the country. How are we going to bring the numbers down? Every individual going to have to deal with that. How do you stop the trend? You got to stop feeding that you gotta stop giving gas to the car or fuel to the fire. So you gotta have other people coming into relationships, seeing the red flags, having resources to deal with conflict resolution. That's how you bring the numbers down. That's the answer. Right. I don't think this is very difficult. This is not a very difficult problem.
Ring the bell on that. I like that. Ring the bell on that. I don't have my bell, but ring the bell on that. You know, so family, as we get into these conversations, you know, one thing I'm seeing as I'm on the road, and we're starting to take hashtag truth be told on the road, and it's coming up to Memorial Day weekend. After that, you got Father's Day, Juneteenth. Of course, Brother Fatim and myself, get ready. New Orleans, I don't think you're going to be the same once we leave, but the 30th anniversary of the Essence Music Festival is going down in New Orleans, 4th of July weekend, and Brother Fatim and I are going to be in the building. We're going to be in the building. When I say in the building, we're going to be up close, personal with the individuals that you want to see. And guess who? Lovely Face just showed back. Who's that knocking on my window? Pow! Nobody now. Jackson's back in the building. Jack said she was outside in the trying to get a little bit of that.
I heard the birds. The birds was messing with her Wi-Fi. Hey, Jack, before you go on, because we're talking a little bit about domestic violence and stuff like that, I just want to read Douglas Guidry comment real quick, and then you come in and chime in. Domestic violence is real, but let's keep in mind that fentanyl is going to be the demise of our race. I totally disagree. I totally disagree. Heroin was going to be the demise. Crack was going to be the demise. Fentanyl now. They got drugs stronger than fentanyl. So Douglas Guidry is not going to be the fentanyl of our demise. But what is constant is domestic violence. That's one of the issues that is constant, my brother. So fentanyl is not going to be the demise because they got crank, whatever stuff that is stronger. They got stuff that kills horses that people are using that Jax has talked about. So it's not going to be fentanyl. It was crack. What crack did to our community, it dealt us a blow. The difference between heroin and crack is a lot more men were affected by heroin versus women. When crack came out, women and men were affected by that. So the family took a blow. The mama, the daddy, the uncle, the aunt, grandmama, granddaddy were affected by that. So yeah, but we recovered from the crack era, my brother. We recovered. Cocaine is still a consistent situation out here. Yeah. So fentanyl is strong, but there's other drugs that are stronger out here. So fentanyl will not be the demise of our community, but it will definitely deal a blow to not only our community, but all communities across the country.
Well, you know, if we really talk about it, I'm going to bring Jackson in since she's back. You know, the opioid and the drug problem, period, has been a demise to our community, no matter what the choice of drug has been, you know, and that's where we really need to understand that, yes, fentanyl is quite prevalent right now. And, you know, of course, many agencies, be it governmental, in healthcare and law enforcement, speak a great deal because it doesn't take a lot of fentanyl to cause a lot of damage up to death. So, you know, drugs have always been a problem in our community, no matter what the drug of choice has been. And with that being said, this is where we do go to Sister Jax, because this is a lot in her wheelhouse of the counseling, of the life coaching that she does. Jax, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, brothers. But you know what? The main thing that's going to be our demise is our poor decision-making skills. Our poor decision-making skills, that will truly end up being our demise. Because, you know, if we don't make the proper decisions and if we're not accountable and responsible with our actions, before you know it, our community's in destruction. Our households are in destruction. So we really have to work on our decision-making skills because fentanyl, it's a whole new wave. But just like Brother Fatim said, that heroin, you know what I'm saying, that crack, all of that stuff. Yeah. And trank now, like you said, they're using horse tranquilizers, something to tranquilize a damn horse to have so the horse can have surgery. You know, people are taking that. That shows how sick we are as a people. And it's not just us of color. It's everybody pretty much is doing it.
Sister Jax, you said something that we really need to drill down on. And we need to drill down on it. It's 21 minutes past the hour. It's the 21st day of May. and we need to talk about choices.
Mhm.
Good choices versus bad choices. When you really look at all of our conversation, it drills down to that one word. Did you make the right choice? And many a times we've got to look at the choices we make and understand that these choices come with consequences. And many a times what we do is we make the choice, but we negate the worry about the consequences until the consequences show up and they're not good consequences. Then we want to come with the woe is me. Woe is me. Look at, oh my God, can you see? I can't believe. Look at the choice that you made.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, Joe and Jax, I got to do something. I can't leave Jax out here by herself like this. Don't. I gotta. You know what? I can't. I gotta get me a kitchen view too. Let me get me a kitchen view. Let me get me a kitchen view.
Yes, brother.
Let me turn my camera on. Let me get me a kitchen view too. What the hell? Jax got a kitchen view. I got me a kitchen view.
So we cooking with Martha Stewart.
We cooking Martha Stewart there, baby. I'm Snoop. That's Martha, baby. You got a kitchen view. I got a kitchen view today too.
Since we got Martha and Snoop, now we got Jackson Patine. What
That's
we cooking
right.
today?
That's right. We cooking up some knowledge. That's what we cooking up.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. I mean, you know, it's interesting you say that. And Jax, I want to go back to something I was saying earlier because I definitely want to hear your comment. I was talking about the alpha male and the alpha female. And I was talking about how my cousin, who is an alpha female, once she got an alpha male that was in her life, she said she just how did she say it? She said she fell in place. She said I wasn't submissive as a slave, but I let that man lead because he was the man. And she said it's something about that man that leads. And I was talking about how some, like your cousin said, KC said she don't like a weak man.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that some men look at strength as being abusive, raising their voice, got to put their hand, fear, having that fear. You know, every time they raise their voice, the woman is jumping.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm talking about, an alpha male. That's abuse. That is abuse there. And Joe talked about, and I don't know if you heard it, that's why I'm bringing it back, because I think I definitely want to hear your opinion on it, is he was saying, well, how do we cut down the numbers of domestic violence? And I said, Joe, how you do it is that you got domestic violence all across the country. And each individual that's in it, they have to deal with their own situation because there's not one shoe size fits all. It just doesn't, one size fits all. But how you stop the numbers is people need to see red flags. As you said bad decision making. Now, sometime when two people come together, I think you might have came in on that. When two people come together, we always tend to put our best out front first. So sometimes you don't see the red flags, but if you give it a little bit of time, that's why jumping into bed and then all of a sudden I'm pregnant, and then because you're pregnant, we in a relationship or whatever. That's not always the reason to be in a relationship. And when you see those red flags, you need to run, because you need to understand that. And you also need to arm yourself with the tools, conflict resolution, which we talk about on this show, and other things that helps you make better decisions, not always decisions from your emotions. I understand that we can love someone and that's emotional, but we also have to make rational and logical decisions. That's how we cut down the numbers. What's your thoughts on that?
No, you are so right, Brother Patine. I mean, a woman loves a masculine man. A strong, secure woman loves a masculine man. A woman that is not strong and secure, she likes a simp. You know what I'm saying? She likes a guy that she could just boss around and bully and tell him what to do and how to do it and when to do it. But it's nothing like a strong brother. A strong brother, but especially a strong brother that fears the Most High and is trying to lead his family or the relationship, for me, especially like with God at the forefront. So now you have some men, there's different types of men. Some appear to be masculine, but like we know in our community, many times we have a lot of men raised by single mothers. So although they have the strong desire to be strong, I'm masculine, I'm a man, they still have some of the effeminate ways because their conflict resolution skills are based on how a woman resolves a conflict, as opposed to seeing how a man resolves a conflict, because they're so used to seeing their moms being the ones in the trenches trying to figure out how the kids are going to eat, how the kids are going to get around, how the kids are, just going to survive, and how the household should be run. So in her frustration, the kids are watching, the boys and the girls are watching. So they're learning how to manage their emotions based off of their mom. Now the mom is mixed up because many times she is handling her emotions, trying to be a man and a woman in the absence of the dad. So it's just like a vicious cycle. Then you have another type of man that's masculine, and masculine through and through. He's masculine. He handles his emotions like a man. He's very ordered. He's very balanced. He's, thorough. He's organized. I say this is what it is, and that's what it is. I don't want to hear shit else, So there's a balance, because with the other man, he might try to lay the law down, but when he lays the law down, he's kind of complaining about it or nagging about it, or, all like feminine and girly about it sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So it's about trying for the men to try to find that balance and truly move in his masculinity and be firm in it and resolve conflict like a man. Because if you're resolving conflict as a man like a woman, now you got two women, scrapping against each other, which is not good either. So a woman, she needs to understand her role and her position and play her position and allow him to play his position. And, when you do that and those dynamics are there, it definitely makes it that much easier to humble down and submit. But no matter what, we as women, if you believe, you still have to do, what's right regardless. Now, are you supposed to be stepped on, abused, beat down, verbally, emotionally, physically, financially? Absolutely not, So if you believe in scripture, you can go to scripture and try to find a resolve and a balance, with that. If you don't believe in scripture, go for therapy, go for counseling. And like you always say, you can Google conflict resolution. Yep. Skills, if you can't afford a therapist or a life coach, or, if you feel like the church is not helping you do it, go online and just look and read and study and learn and ask other people, ask some other people their opinion, but then you come up with the best solution, for yourself.
Well, so listen to this one. Now, this is interesting. Because see, now I'm talking about what I've seen in family. Because the women in my family were strong. Mm-hmm. Men was strong, but I've also seen the alpha female with a man, not passive, but not the alpha male. So the woman was the dominant energy in the household, right? The man was a righteous brother doing the right thing, but he didn't have that alpha male thing. And I seen the women like that, the alpha female with that type of man. This is crazy, but this is how it works sometimes. That they want that, they looking for that strong man. They want that man to be strong, stand up. And I've seen when that woman sometimes pushes that man into a corner, he comes out fighting. He'll smack her around a little bit. He talk a little so-and-so. And you know what? The woman likes that because she identifies with that putting her in a place, because she's looking for that strong man. Yeah. So when he don't show those tendencies, and then she gets that kind of reaction out of him, even though I hate to say it's kind of warped, but you got to realize she needs fight back, because that's what she'll probably tell her son and daughter: fight back, stand up for yourself. So when he stands up for himself and punch her or smack her around, which I'm not condoning that. That's not what I'm saying, but that also makes her fall back, because she goes in there and she said, he put me in my place. Yeah. That's reverse, but I've seen that happen as well.
No, for sure, because you know what? It's just like a child, right? Like women, like we honestly need, no matter how strong, degreed, powerful, whatever you are, we need discipline. We need discipline. We need correction. You know what I'm saying? Correction is godly. Because sisters, we know we are all over the damn place sometimes. Our emotions are crazy as hell. Sometimes even if we know it's about to be that time of the month, and for me now, I recognize it even more. And my daughter's like, Mom, you don't have this thing mastered yet, my mouth or my attitude, especially when that time is approaching, because I'll notice that there might be more contention in my home, or I might be going like back and forth with my husband, which I shouldn't, but I'll have an attitude out of nowhere. But I'm listening to myself more, because I'm like, oh my God, I guess my period's about to come, because I was out of pocket the other day, So we really have to listen to our we have to listen to our internal, clock and workings, because especially now, women not only are going through periods, but they're also, as they get older, premenopause and all this other stuff that causes chemical and emotional imbalances, So we have to find a balance and still be respectful. But just like kids need to be checked, women need to be checked and corrected.
But you can't. Well, for me, what worked in my household with Hanifa, is I couldn't put that all on her. Mm-hmm. I had to notice those signs. So first of all, I knew her time of the month. I'm the one that I had nothing but women in my house, 2 daughters and a wife. So I'm the one that get the text message because I'm out, they home. Daddy, I need pads. Fatina, I need pads. This, that, and that. I remember when I bought the Eve's feminine wash and the Eve's powder for my daughters. And I when I go in the store, I don't hide the products. I'm not hiding them. I'm the one that picking the always thin with the wings for the heavy flow. I did that because I think us men need to understand what our women go through. And when we understand it, I noticed my oldest daughter, both of them go through the cramping, but my oldest daughter, she becomes a beast those first 2 days. She's a beast. Yeah. Leave her alone. We have to understand that. So what I'm saying is we can't just allow it to just be on our women and the women see the red flags with that because that's normal. Us men need to know it. So when my wife, and I'm not being funny on the second half, when my wife would be going through that, I would try to lighten her burden. You understand? If it's cooking or if it's this or if that, if she was like, I plan to go to the laundry, my cycle came on, I got you. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know she can easily get frustrated. She's in pain. She's cramping. And I think that compassion also helps bring her back up and say, look, he's thinking of me. That's also, right. I've seen her doing this a lot at times, not during the time of the month. I was like, you need some tightening up here. Yeah. So tighten your ass up, give you a little bit of sausage here. And next thing I know, you skipping in the kitchen, making grits and you cooking things. We have to know the red flags, and that helps the yin and the yang in our relationship.
So y'all gotta let me get into this. I've been listening to this because I had to jump off. I got some very tragic news that I'll address later. Man, let me say this, and it's funny because my brother and I had this conversation yesterday. But men and women, especially in a relationship, you got to know each other. You got to know your clocks. And we were talking, especially because we got a lot of older brothers on here, and we applaud everybody who joins this podcast and reviews it. But let's talk about this. Yesterday, brought into a conversation of, with a lot of men, if there's no erection, there's no affection. Mm. And then you have to understand that with a lot of women, if it doesn't get you to a certain spot, you're not going to get hot. So those two things got through at me yesterday. And I said, whoa, what are you saying? They said, well, number one, as you get older, things begin to happen, and women deal with menopause. A lot of men do not want to understand how women have to deal with menopause or with other issues like fibroids and other things. But nevertheless, let's deal with the real elephant in the room, because most women won't sit down and explain to their better halves, this is what I'm dealing with menopause or premenopause, because there's some things that happen before the menopause gets in. And we just got to understand each other, because it's one thing, the acts of sex. It's another thing, the whole thing that makes the experience or the sexuality part, because sex and sexuality are two different things. And we got to put them in their proper contents. There's one, the act of, getting it in. But then a lot of times it's everything that is encompassed in the act of it. And as you get older, it gets more into the whole picture, not just the quote unquote hit it and quit it. Mm-hmm. So, I think we need to get into that conversation somewhat.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Jax, because I'm coming behind now.
Yeah. When you think of the word intimacy, that's what it's really about. And intimacy, they say, is into me see. So, when brothers get older, even some brothers at 30 years old start to, show signs of erectile dysfunction, so that's why it's still so important for, men, and women to really recognize the physical health of their mate, because men start to struggle sometimes with ED. Women might start struggling as they get older with dryness, vaginal dryness, or, other physiological issues as they grow and they change. But you have to have, that's why a relationship is so much more than just sex. It's about that intimacy and having that conversation and engaging and loving on each other, because one day you might be at a point where you physically cannot penetrate, and like we talked about before, sometimes women have issues, down there and it's very painful, or they have sex and it's like, they begin to bleed, or it's just uncomfortable, or sometimes the man is very, very well endowed and it's painful for a woman, but she may still want to do something, but it's uncomfortable. So we have to really like count the cost and just be respectful of one another. And that's what it all boils down to. Just being respectful and being understanding and empathetic, being empathetic. What you got, Fatin? I want to hear what you got.
I think we bouncing around very quickly here, but when I'm gonna give a rude awakening to a lot of men today, because a lot of women, for instance, like Joe said, I that's why I use myself as an example. That's why I said I picked out the pads. I did this. I knew about the premenopause. I went through the menopause with Hanifa. And after that, I've seen women that after their menopause, they get hotter. I'm seeing some women wet up a bed. I'm a real person. I say wet up a bed, you know what I mean. And what I'm saying to a lot of men is, when we're in our youth, and you're not taking these drugs and pretty healthy and not drinking a lot and stuff like that, we want to run around like we Superman. But when you get older, the blue pill came in and Cialis and all this other stuff comes out, and it has helped. And my friend, he got diabetes early on, and he loved women. He's almost 80 years old, and he in his 70s, he was still sticking. And he didn't have a wife. He had an ex-wife, and diabetes affected his manhood. So he was like, the doctor said, well, I can give you a pill. He's like, I don't want no pill. He said, I can give you a pump. I ain't giving no pump. They put a stent in his penis, because that was so important to him. What I'm going to say to men is that we want to run around like Superman and Underdog and Mighty Mouse when we're younger. But then when we get older, the woman sometimes gets stronger as we get weaker.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, a bruised ego of a man is a hard thing to deal with when you can't satisfy your woman. And a lot of times the women just, they love you and they're not going to step out on you and whatever, but sometimes they're not satisfied. But they, they understand, you understand what I'm saying? Just like we have to be sympathetic with women when they're going through things. But I'm telling you, I've seen some women 55 plus that are bunnies, baby, ever ready bunnies. And I'm like, I can't do what I did when I was 25. Ain't no use to trying to fool myself. I ain't that stud no more like that. You understand what I'm saying? I like Bernie Mac. You better get it when I get it, because I'm going to sleep. You understand what I'm saying? You better get it. You better get it, baby.
You better get yours.
You better get yours, because I'm going to get mine. But on the serious side, these are the things that we tend to go through. And then there's some men that have a high, and they don't go through this. And they in their 70s, 75 plus, and they are still like they were almost 25. They hitting it and ready. So it's part of your makeup. It's how you treat your body. It's a mindset. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a combination of things that affect both male and women. And that's why I preach health to younger people, because I'm telling you, if you don't treat your body right when you're younger, it's going to affect you when you get older.
That's right. And like you said, Brother Fatin, you are so right. And with drugs, people were, whether they were weekend warriors or whatever the hell they were, getting high all week long. And, now maybe they're sober. But guess what? Those choices you made back in your 20s and 30s, sure enough, you're going to feel it in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So like you say, treat your body right. Try to eat a clean diet and eat healthy, and, exercise, obviously, always helps out with the blood flow. So blood flow is key. And blood flow is key, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So go ahead.
Hey, Jackson, real quick. So Joe, I ain't gonna go into details.
Oh God.
Playing
Dad. He go into detail. So okay,
I ain't gonna go into details on this too much. But we playing a little basketball, right? You know, doing this, and it's one round. So you know, after the warm a hot rag, you know what that is about, y'all. If y'all been there, you know, it's time to go to Dreamland. I get a tap on the shoulder. I look. Oh hell no, more. Hell no. I turned my ass to the wall. I'm going to Dreamland. I ain't even looking at her. I'm going to sleep. I ain't doing. Hell no. Once the warm rag come,
it's a wrap.
Shut down for the night, baby.
His revolver.
It's shut down for the night.
Had no reload status. His revolver was out of bullets with no reload status. What you got in the holster? Not a damn bullet.
Not a thing, boy. Barney 5. Barney 5, one bullet. Now one bullet, baby.
Y'all are crazy.
So family.
This is geriatric hour, y'all.
It is 42 minutes past the hour. Family, welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. Tell a friend. We're broadcasting live on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube Live. We are on Twitter X. Yeah, Elon Musk. We all up in your space, doing our thing. Listen, something else. I just got to get back to this also.
How you gonna follow that with the warm rag, brother? Let me see how you follow up after the warm rag.
I'm gonna follow the warm rag with the following. I had to really sit back and better analyze Miss Lockett's statement that she made to Miss Green that went viral, and I had to really give that sister some props.
Do I need to play it again, Joe? Do I need to play it again? I think I need to play it.
The quickness of the clap back was like,
yep.
Let me hold. Wait a minute. I love our ingenuity. How quick we can just hurt some Megatroy. Let me talk to you for a minute. Since you want to talk about my lashes, let me hit you with something. Don't you know you a bleached blonde, bad built, butch body?
I can play it, Joe. Let me play it for you.
Senate floor.
Let me play it for you, Joe.
Take that,
Joe. Let me play it. So people that may not heard it get a chance to hear it.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person? Are your feelings hurt? Her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl. Oh, really?
You're not.
Yeah, you're not. You don't have enough intelligence.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleached blonde, bad built bush body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
That's
Do you
the
know what
clip.
we're here for?
So I'm going to try this, family. Because Fatim said I couldn't do it, but I think I can. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. I think we got a caller on the line. Caller, you got a question or a comment? Come on, give it up to me. Come on, give it to me. Who we talking to? Oh, eventually we ain't got somebody on the line. They decided to hang up. You could always call back.
That might have been Marjorie Taylor Greene calling upset.
Hey, that sister clapback was like, hey.
Look,
she's always fast, always thinking on her feet.
Let me show you how quick that clapback was. Do y'all remember when we were sharing? I gotta get country with y'all. I ain't gonna say when we were children, but do y'all remember when we were sharing?
I was never
and
sharing.
You were going through the grocery store, and all of a sudden, in every grocery store they had the little toy display in the grocery store, but your mama already had clenched her lips in the car and told you, when we're going to the grocery store, and you were like, did I just hear my mama say something that her mouth didn't move? But your ass did not pay no attention to that. So your ass were on the slick while she tried to get some baking powder and some cornmeal. You gonna try to reach for the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and you were like, ah!
That's why Joe ain't got no hair today. That's why Joe ain't got no hair today.
You didn't see it coming. It was like, ah!
You see, that's why Joe ain't got no hair today. Because when my mother said that, because my mother wasn't the kind of mother to say, wait till I get you home. My mother would beat my ass in the store, on the bus, in the cab.
Yes,
in the store, in the street. So when my mother did that clenched teeth and did the like the twin, I knew what she was saying. I knew what that meant. That means conduct yourself in order conduct, because bottom line is I will whip and embarrass your ass out here because I'm country.
People used to ask me, Fatim, why was I so into Star Wars? Because I said my mama was Yoda. I said Yoda could talk to folks and not even say anything. He used the Force. My mama used to say stuff like, I'd be like, my mama mouth didn't even move. How did these words get over here? Man. But that's what happened.
His mother smacked the hair follicles asleep.
That's right, she did. That's it.
So look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and here's what really gets me: when you have the same inch, but two different rulers. So let me give you the same inch, but two different rulers. Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she understands the dynamics of, now here's where voting comes in play and the importance of your vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene, sources say in conservative media, is trying to bring charges up against Ms. Lockett in Congress for what she said.
Why do you keep calling her Lockett?
What is her last name? What's her name? Crockett. I'm bad with people's names. I'm sorry. Sister Crockett.
You like Reverend Sharpton. Don't worry about it.
Right.
What's your name? Sorry, Rev.
Sister Crockett. This is crazy, because in conservative, they're like, they should charge her for making those type of allegations, because those body shaming. All of a sudden now we're body shaming after years of us under the umbrella of slavery, of Jim Crowism, of us being called every name out the book. All of a sudden, when we pull a you on you, now you want to hold us to a different standard. That makes me so sick. When we pulled a you on you, you wasn't ready for you thought you were cute and glamorous. Girl, is them fake eyelashes getting in your way? And then AOC jumped out of her skin.
Baby girl.
The sister said, the sister checked AOC so smooth, like, AOC, I don't need your help. Sit your ass down.
No. She didn't check AOC. She did not check. She didn't check AOC. She appreciated AOC jumping in, but she handled it herself.
Right.
But she appreciated AOC, and I'm glad AOC, because Jessica Dewberry said, that Bronx came out of AOC.
AOC's came out of her skin, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about debate me. I'm like, baby, you can't debate a baboon and a fool. No, you ain't gonna win. I tried to go to the zoo right now and try to debate a baboon or a fool and watch what happened. The baboon will steadily be at the door going like Planet of the Apes.
Joe's so crazy.
I'm just saying. And, the fool, you can't debate a baboon or a fool. Look,
you can't. Okay, if somebody grew up in or around poverty, can't nobody do a clap back better than us.
Woo! She got hit with one of them 8 Mile Joneses. Like when they show the rap battle, I'm saying, like,
Yep. Because look, when poverty cuts you, poverty gonna cut you. You know what I'm saying? So they think they come back with their little clap back, but we already analyzed the whole situation, boop, 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 and could read you quick, fast, and in a hurry. So they coming at the wrong folks.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, that furthermore bothers me, because you have to understand, there are a group of people in America that elected that woman to Congress. I want y'all to wrap your heads around that for a minute.
Now you got to wrap your head. You got to wrap your head around that. Look at her base. Look, you got to realize where her community, her district is. Remember, Georgia is not, because we think about Georgia. Georgia is not what Maryland and DC became, being the black state. Georgia, a lot of blacks are there, and it has gone purple at one time. But honestly, Georgia consistently has been a red state. It's in the Confederate district of states in this country's history. And you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene district, there are more white people and conservatives that come out of her district that elected her because they support that, Joe. So it's not about wrapping our head. She comes from a district that supports that.
Well, And I'm glad you said that, Brother Fatim. So to give further content to what we're saying right now, this is why your vote is so important. This is why in this up and coming election, you need to make sure that you get engaged, get involved, get registered, and go vote, because your vote matters. If you want a Marjorie Taylor Greene to wind up over a committee that has to deal with Black and brown issues, and she is the committee chair, just imagine where that committee is going to go. Mm-hmm. And imagine what you as Black and brown people are going to get with her being a committee chair over a committee that has to deal with welfare, that has to deal with Black and brown issues, that has to deal with social economics, that has to deal with poverty programming in our communities, that has to do with education of our Black kids. The power of the vote is powerful. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene can be put over committees over the education department that can affect Black and brown babies that we hold so precious and dear. Just think about that, family, and go vote, go vote, go vote.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You know what? I was talking to, when I had to do my keynote speech yesterday, I was talking to the judge, because I've developed this amazing program that want to, pitch and get it into the system on a larger scale and do like a pilot program for these kids. But talking to him, Judge Philip Degnan, he's interesting. He's an amazing man, right? So it's two primary judges in Essex County vicinage that deals with youth, probation and all that stuff, right? So you have Judge Degnan, and Judge Khan, right? Judge Khan is a lady. So it's interesting because my students, they can't stand Judge Degnan. They're like, oh, judge, the judge is a D, and he's this and he's that. And, they came to my class telling me, oh,
he's a D, he's a dummy. Okay.
Yeah. Eggplant dummy. That's what the kids do.
Yeah, eggplant dummy.
Yeah. So they can't.
He a wet towel dummy.
Yeah. Wet
I'm glad I didn't have much water, because that would have been all on the screen.
So they were not feeling him at all, right? Yet they love Judge Khan. Okay. So I hit Judge Degnan with something yesterday that he was like, wow, like all these years, I've never thought of that before. Right. So what's going on is the adults and everybody in the system says Judge Khan is harsh as hell. She's no joke. She don't play. She's this, she's that. Right. Judge Degnan, on the other hand, they say that he's more lenient and is, kind of more helpful to the kids. But to the children, they feel that Judge Degnan is harder. Why is that? I told Judge Degnan, I said, because guess what? You're a man. There's a lot of overmothered and fatherless homes. So these kids do not have men in the homes. So any ruling or stuff that you say to them, they're going to take it and perceive it differently than they can perceive it from a woman, because they're used to that hard, harsh woman at home. So when they go to the courtroom and that hard, harsh woman is sending their ass up the river, basically, and really getting on them, they can receive that a little bit better than they could coming from a man, and that's so unfortunate, because a lot of our young men, they cannot take any authority from a man. Even a male teacher at school sometimes has more trouble, because these young men, many times, they don't respect other men, but they'll respect some of the women, actually. Right.
So I want to say just real quick. So, that's why I say to you all, because one thing about Black folks, we have short memories. Because I go back to, and it's amazing how, and I'll say this, because if I have to go and I try not to let my ego get in the way, a lot of people call, oh God, I see her face, Congresswoman out of California. What's the Congresswoman out of California? Black woman.
The older lady?
Yes.
Oh shit! What is her name?
And look,
I call her auntie.
Yeah. That's what we call her.
But before she got that tag, how it happened is something personally came up between me and her, and that's when I started. And I told her, she reminded me. Everybody else,
I'm reclaiming my time. That's who it is. I'm reclaiming my time.
But
Miss Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters.
So you look
right. Because we can't get it right.
So thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Joe. So, and Jessica, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. If you go back to Senator Kamala Harris, don't forget in them hearings, Kamala laid it down. Don't forget Congresswoman Bush right now. These women have laid it down out there. I haven't been a fan of the Senator Cory Booker, but I know him personally, and he's gotten stronger. I wasn't a fan when he was running for mayor back then, and some things that I thought he soft shoed on certain things, but he has gotten better. And I've told that to his face. I told him, I got a picture with him, but I know him, and I think he's gotten better. He's laid the law down in some of these hearings, but we have a short memory. Oh, Kamala Harris ain't for the black people. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And I hate when people say she's not. You got to understand the role that she's in. And I appreciate when these women and men that we elect to office, because that's why sometimes we paint with a broad brush. Oh, these black politicians are not doing things. They do things. And then sometimes they do things that we don't disagree with. Like Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, another brother I've known from the streets of Brooklyn. I know this man. I'm not cool with how he just throws his blanket support with Israel, but I like how he backed a progressive in a state where she won, a black woman that was a progressive. He's a moderate. And he went against AIPAC. You understand what I'm saying? That gives him support. So we have to understand the dynamics of politics and understand the game that they're playing and understand that they're playing chess sometimes, but you got to realize what they're doing. And sometimes it's best to have them in place, because when key votes come up, they are going to be there and be there for us strong.
So hold on, Brother Fatim. I want to address what you just said. And you're right. They play chess, while many of us are playing checkers, jacks, and marbles.
That's what Sharpton said yesterday.
He did. And I'm going to echo what Brother Sharpton said yesterday.
He said that.
I ain't letting y'all. I would never plagiarize another man's comment. So I'm glad you said that, Brother Fatim, because I was going to say that. I got that by listening to Sharpton yesterday. And we need to understand also this. So it is 2 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm about to shift the atmosphere for a minute.
You've been doing that all morning, Mr. Buffet, breakfast buffet. You changing the breakfast menu. I love it.
Well, I've got to do this because
you said you got tragic news.
I stepped away and I had to get myself together for a second. I have a very close friend. I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to put it out here on social media like that. We've traveled a great deal. We've done a great deal together. He sends me a message, and that's why I stepped off the screen and left Jackson and Brother Fatim, because I had to address this. And here's what the message said. It said, my wife's brother was killed this morning. A bullet went through his house and hit him in the head while he was sleeping.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't even respond with "we got to do better."
Jesus Christ.
And you ask yourself why they treat us the way they treat us. I'm going to read this again. This is the text message I received. I'm not going to say no names. I'm going to wait till I get to talk to him personally and his wife. He said, my wife's brother was killed this morning. A bullet went through his house and hit him in the head while he was sleeping. Family, we got some real problems in our community. Brother Marcus just came on here. Man, I'm trying to hold back the tears because y'all just don't know what this brother means to me. That sent me this message. There's brothers like Brother Fatim, and there's brothers like this brother that sent me this message. And Brother Marcus, these are my brothers. These are cats I go to war for. And to know that his wife and his family is suffering because of, once again, some senseless gun violence. I got to try to get my composure in this game. Family, saying we got to do better. I don't even want to utter those words out my mouth right now. What gives you the right? Are you that mad and upset with someone that the only way this man is dead because of a stray bullet, and I promise you that was not even meant for him? Are y'all so upset with the world and life that your only manner of resolution is just to pull out a weapon and begin to just spray in all directions, not concerned about who you hit? We have young babies dying from stray bullets. We have individuals who had absolutely nothing to do with the conflict that are dying from stray bullets. And I hate to say it, because now I'm speaking directly to the government. And because I am an astute student of civics, I'm speaking to the Senate, the Congress, and the executive branch. Y'all keep sending money to other folks to fix their problems. Fix these goddamn problems here.
Joe, let me, I first of all, let me just say this. My condolences and prayers to the family. And I'm going to tie this in. One of my softball brothers out of New York City just came on, Eric Winch, and said, Brother Fatim, we just lost a young man from our circle to gun violence last night too. And, I hate this. I mean, I'm going to speak on it, Joe. You asked, when are we going to get this together? We're not going to get this together, because these are the casualties of the war that we live in. Yeah, we need to fight it. We need to do better. I remember, and I brought up my brother Eric, because I remember the first time meeting him. And, it's amazing how people stereotype us Black men, Black women, but especially us Black men. And there's a lot of guys that I played softball with that would walk down the street and cops would pull over because they would think that they are a threat and don't realize that they're stand-up citizens of the community. I'm telling you, but sometime we was on the softball field, and if you walked by and didn't know we were playing softball, you might have thought we was a gang because of the stereotypical how we look. But we are also living in the concrete jungle. We're living in urban centers across this country that this mentality, this lifestyle is prevalent. You understand? And if you don't fix the problems there, you're always going to have crime. But if you start fixing some of the problems with poverty and other things, some of these issues will start to dissipate. You understand? It's so sad to hear these tragedies, because right now, again, when, my kids were trained. When I was in a certain part of, I moved out of Brooklyn because I moved out of Brooklyn because a guy was urinating in the hallway. My daughter was 2 or 3, 2.5. And the guy went to urinate behind the stairs, and my daughter's walking. My wife couldn't stop me. I was jumping on that brother's ass. There's no way. She couldn't stop me. She ran out. I don't know how. We had just came back from South Carolina. I don't know how she ran into my cousin. And I just saw him this week. He had to come and pull me like this. Wow. He had to pull me like this. Because you're not going to disrespect where I live. You're not going to disrespect my wife. And you definitely ain't going to disrespect my kids. That's why I had to leave Brooklyn. Because it was either me or somebody else. So I had to get out of that environment. But a lot of times people cannot get out of that environment. So when we hear these tragedies, it hurts, y'all. It hurts. But we got to look at the environment that we are in. I'm not saying throw in the white towel. What I'm saying is we have to understand that this is where we're at. And when we're trying to survive, Joe, you talk about doing better. We want to do better, but sometimes we are a product of our environment, my brother. I remember coming up, and Eric, I don't know how old you are, my brother, but I come up with the Tomahawks in Brooklyn, Jolly Stompers with the gangs. And one thing about the gangs back then, they still had some of them brothers and sisters. The Jolly Steppers were the female division of the Jolly Stompers. They had morals to say, yo, get these young people out of here. Yo, auntie, go upstairs. You know, ma, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? They now they don't care. So if we step to these young folks and they don't know us and don't respect us, they'll put a bullet, not in the back of our head now, they'll put it in the side or in the front of our head.
That's right. That's
where we are at now, y'all. So it's not about cliche. You got to get out there and do the work. My brother out there, that is a crime intervention. Why can't I call his name? That Mayor Eric Adams put out there. I can't call his name right now, and I apologize for that. He headed up Man Up Inc. And they have had people that have gotten shot by going out there and know the people in the community and still have to take the bruises and gotta deal with knives and guns. And they are from the streets. This is real, y'all. Y'all can't just sometimes use words. Sometimes you got to get out there in the jungle. And a lot of us are not equipped to get back out in the jungle or know even how to talk to them. We could have done it in our era. But a lot of us got to arm ourselves with other brothers and sisters that are younger, that got the respect out there, that can get to these brothers and sisters and try to change their mindset before they harm themselves and throw their lives away. Jax?
That's right. And my deepest condolences to you, Brother Patine, for one of the men of your circle, and definitely to you, Brother Joe, and also Marcus Allen, for the loss of your brother-in-law. You know, it's so unfortunate. And these children, you know, you'd be surprised. Many of them feel like they have nothing at all to live for. You know, they don't know their mother. They don't know their father. I was speaking to a young man yesterday at the graduation, and I actually was a guest at the probation office one day to do an art therapy class with them. And I recognized his face because he was such a strikingly handsome young man. I mean, perfect white teeth, beautiful chocolate skin, like very, you know, just a kind, you know, a very nice, you know, little boy, but he was on probation for whatever crime, you know, he did. And when we were talking yesterday, I said to him, you know, something about, he was telling me that he was 16, about to be 17. And I said, guess how old I am? So then I told him, I said, I'm about to be 48. And so he's like, Dad, you old, you know? So I'm like, bro, you better hope you get there, you know, one day. He's like, I don't want to be that old. And I'm like, listen. And so then we started talking. Then I said, how old is your mom? He's like, well, I don't really have one, but I got two moms. So I'm like, okay. So he was adopted apparently. And I said, how old is your dad? He's like, I don't even know who my dad is. Like, I don't have one, you know? So when you have children out here where they can't really identify with having a mom, don't even know in the world who their father is, these kids are like, shit, life doesn't matter. You know, they don't really care about their own lives. Some of these kids, they don't even want to wake up in the morning. They don't like their school. They don't like their home. They don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're really doing our children a disservice, you know? By, you know, we all talk about how all this unprotected sex and, you know, laying down with somebody making babies, but not really thinking about the outcomes. So now you have this nice little boy that like even though he was hungry when he came to the graduation, he was hungry. So they put out all these cookies and cakes. He's like, Miss J, I'm so hungry. I really want one. And he's like, you think they'll let me have one? I said, all you have to do is go to the lady and say, may I please have a cookie? He's like, please? I got to say please. And he was like, I don't say please. And I was like, yeah, bro, use your manners. Go and say, may I please have a cookie? So he did it and came back and was happy and said, I feel good that I said please. Like, that was, you know, nice to say. But these kids sometimes feel they have nothing to live for. They'll tell me stories how they were in a fight and they were with their little gang and stomp people out till their eyeball pops out of their head. And they'll be in class cracking up laughing. And so these kids, they have no remorse sometimes. They have no connection. They have no empathy, no sympathy. They will just do whatever, and they don't even think about the consequences, right? I know even me living in the heart of the hood, although I'm in a gated area, it's unfortunate because I've been on my bed before with my children and had to hurry up and jump on the floor because I hear gunshots a block or a couple blocks away, and you hear it. And it's like, oh, shoot, I don't want to be in my bed and end up, God forbid, in a situation like that, or my children. Just 2 weeks ago, I was on the couch on a Sunday afternoon. And I heard some shooting down the block and had to kind of like slide down on the couch. I'm like, what in the hell? You know, and it's so unfortunate and tragic, but these kids don't care. They will shoot daytime. They will, back in the day, it was like at nighttime, you gotta be careful. Nowadays, they get you at 7 o'clock in the morning. They don't give a damn.
And I want y'all to think about this, because we always say this. And yesterday I had the awesome opportunity to have some conversation with some great folks. There's a train track and a train. And every 4 years, we may change conductors. Every 2 years, we may change the people who do the maintenance on the train. But the train is going to keep on moving. And that's why we got to pay attention, because we didn't get to where we're at in our communities overnight.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was, many a times what we said was, we ain't worried about these next 4 years. See, this is the results, family, of our continuous being lackadaisical and many a times damn near being the part that we just don't care. So what? Trump gets in for another 4 years. I'm good. Not understanding that these years of us not paying attention has got us to where we're at today. We got to wake up. We got to pay attention.
Let me say this, Joe. The name I want to put out there is the brother I was talking about in New York. He is like the czar, the crime czar is A.T. Mitchell, brother A.T. Mitchell. Okay. I was getting ready to text him to see what he's doing right now, because I would bring him on, but he's always moving around. Sister Shauna said this, and this is, I can't keep talking about it. I'm going to do this. Sister Shauna says, they bold because they lack discipline and control of emotions. Sis, I think what you're saying, Sister Shauna, fits at times. I've known, and that's why I said the other day, and I put it out as a clip, that some of our kids are the devil. Some of our kids have been taught discipline, have been taught respect. They just don't want to do right. And I'm going to have to prove that to y'all by bringing on some of these people that are gangbangers. They jail time, might have killed people, and they let them tell you that they came up in a good home. They had 2 parents, but they decided that they were going to defy their parents. The people that they hung around have a stronger influence than the parents had. And a lot of your parents think that I can discipline and I run my household. But when your child stands up to you face to face and defies you, either you're going to kill them or you're going to let them go. Because a lot of times, you're right, Sister Shauna, in some instances, yes, some of those kids don't have that. But I think that too many times we paint it with a broad brush, like most of the kids that are doing the crime come from a broken family. They don't have discipline. That's not true. You know how another thing, I mean, I don't want to start talking about, let's look at the mob. Let's look at the gangsters. They come from 2 households. They come from 2-parent households. They come from good families. They come from money. Mm-hmm. Gangsters. I know we're talking about our community. We got to think it's not one size fits all, y'all. And that's the problem. Sometimes we identify. That's why I keep telling y'all, we continue to put our efforts into a lot of kids that are off the rails, which we need to, but you don't put enough focus on the kids that are on the tracks. And the kids that are on the tracks sometimes feel thrown away because they're doing the right thing, but they don't get your support.
You're right.
You understand? The other kids that are off the rails get more support than they get it because they're on the track. And when my kids was in elementary school, I made sure not only my kids, but the other kids that were doing the right thing got the support, got the things that they deserve, because we put energy into the kids that was off the rails. I had to balance that, because when my daughter came and said to me, Daddy, I'm in a class where they didn't want to go off our grades. They want to mix everybody up. But now us 12 students in the class that are advanced, we got to sit back and we're bored now. We're bored. Now we get mischievous because we're bored, because they're not putting attention. You can't fall victim to that. All our children need that love. We all need that love.
I got to say this. I'm looking at some of the comments. And once again, and Brother Fatim says it a lot, and I see it. And sadly, we are so in a place of not wanting to look at self and assume our responsibility. So then we put out music. We say the music that makes them do it. Then we say the movies that they're looking at now and the video games that they play. All this makes them do it. No, those might be factors, but one of the biggest factors we leave out is how we as parents have been neglected of raising our children. We have let everything but ourselves raise them. And because we have been asleep at the wheel, we have allowed individuals to get into office and put in legislation that makes it that it's almost impossible for you to discipline your kid in the manner that our ancestors said we're supposed to discipline our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all want to sit here and talk about, but we'll let Trump have another 4 years. Do it.
I hear what Joe said.
Let me finish.
All right, because I don't like Trump in this. The Trump ain't got a goddamn thing to do with this, with us. We're getting ourselves better right now.
And put in office, or the lack of people that we vote and put in office, put us in these positions. Because right now, watch this. Right now, because thank God they have not attacked the freedom of us having to speak on podcasts. Because guess what? I can see one day, especially if they start seeing that these influencers are influencing people the way they don't want to see them influenced, that all of a sudden they want to bring legislation to talk about how you're going to work on these type of platforms. They did it with everything. All of a sudden, when they see that what is out here is working against the system, they begin to legislate it.
Absolutely.
We need Mark Zuckerberg, and we need these folks in front of us in Congress to have a word with us.
But guess what, Joe?
What they're doing is bucking against the system.
But you know what, Joe? They already do that to an extent, because guess what? They will shut you down. They'll ban you. They'll put you in Facebook jail and everything else. Come on. So it is real. I mean, it's certain times that we've talked about certain stuff, and all of a sudden our connection gets all crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. That's not just out of the blue. So they still watching. So it's still going down. And Fatim, I love what you're talking about as well, because there are children in 2-parent households, and like you said, some of these damn kids are still demons. Straight up devils, demons, whatever the hell you want to call it. So I even know some children personally born and raised in 2-parent households, beautiful, loving, kind parents. But guess what? You could love your children, but you got to have balance. Some of these parents love their damn kids a little bit too damn much and spoil their kids, give them everything they want, everything they desire. The kid acts up. No, I want this. What do? They get it for them, because it's easier for them to appease their child than to see their child hurt and upset and sad. So they just give in. Now there's no boundaries. Now they grow up crazy as hell, on drugs, in jail, committing crimes. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful even with the love that we give our children. We have to love them, but it's still, you got to put boundaries. And boundaries is another form of love. It's not, we got to hug and kiss on our kids because they need that. They have studies and proof that shown back in the day, there were children, babies born in wartime that had people go into the hospitals to hug and love on these babies when they had no parents. And the survival rate of those babies was much higher than those who did not have somebody to come in and love and hug on them. So that touch, even with the elderly, that touch and that love and that time to spend with the elderly is critical. So these kids, and it's adults, what I'm saying, that are walking around like devils too. And they raising these little kids sometimes, and they just little spawns of Satan, So it's rough. So we got to arm ourselves.
It is 20 minutes past the hour. And look, I'm going to say this with Sister Jax here. Sister Jax is the spiritual conscience of this podcast. I appreciate her, love her dearly. There's 2 definitions. Look them up in Webster's. One says parent. Read what it says after parent when you look it up in the dictionary. The other one says friend. Look up that definition.
Mm-hmm.
we've got to parent. When you become a parent, it comes with a certain level of responsibility. I had to have an uncomfortable talk with a young man not too very long ago. And here's what I told him. There's 3 levels of respect. There's boyfriend respect, there's baby daddy respect, and then there's husband respect. They all get respect, but there's different levels of respect.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Boundaries.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I hear you all. You know, I said basically what I have to say. You know, Joe was talking about the legislation, and I'm seeing that firsthand. You know, kind of personal, so I can't go into it in detail. But I see how it's playing out with legislation, but legislation never stopped me from disciplining my kids. So I just never fell
That's
into
right.
that.
No,
but
no, and I agree with that.
But yeah, let me just say, what I'm saying is it never fell into it. But if I had a child that that understood how they had some type of power against me and Hanifa, and they decided to go to school and report something, then now I could have got caught up or we could have got caught up, not me. We could have got caught up in the system.
Right.
So we didn't get caught up in the system like that. But I learned that, you know, I show the balance. Mm-hmm. So not only in my household, but in my community and in the school, we were present in the school. My daughter just said, she just said to me the other day, Daddy, just so many people from PS 140 came and spoke at mommy's service in New York. Because your mother touched so many people. We were active, baby, in the community. We were active in the school. So these teachers, the principals, they knew us. You understand? You can't operate in silos. Unfortunately, some of us are working and you can't get up to the school, but you got to make yourself present when you can. Because it comes into play. Because if your child reports something, but it's not true, sometimes the teacher may say, you know what, let me have a conversation with the parent. Let me do this before I call the system. Because once they put that in the system, they'll pull that child out the house. And if there's not a family member to place that child with, they're going into foster care. And that could just disrupt and hurt the child even more because the child is not understanding because they're mad because you disciplined them. You took away their cell phone. Oh, they can't play on that PlayStation or Xbox at the end of the day. So that's why I'm saying, you know, that because I heard what Joe said and he's not wrong. But again, I keep saying some of our parents have neglect being parents. Some of our parents never became parents because of their adult age, but they wasn't parents. Their grandparents are in their 30s, while you understand what I'm saying? 39, the child is 19, and now they got a baby. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And there's no wisdom there. There's a lot of life experiences there. The big mama and grandmama, like back in the day, that had some kind of wisdom is gone. It's gone. So a lot of people, it's not that they're just not equipped to be parents. That's the problem. It's not that they don't want to do it, they're just not equipped to do it.
So hold on, family. We got a caller on the line. Welcome to hashtag Truth Be Told. You got a question or comment?
Oh man, this is Sister Michonne. Now you know how to trigger me. I swear to God, every day is like a good show though. So peace and love, family. Sister Jack, Brother Joe, Brother Fatine. You know what to say. No, but I have to respond because I was like, yeah, Brother Fatine, that's correct. And when you're talking about parenting, Black parenting, especially if you have a community, you might be in a community that's against you, or you might be in a community that is for you. It's very complicated. It's not no one thing. Now, for Brother Fatine just touched on something I had experienced with my older daughter, and I've been everywhere speaking about the system. The system is not for us at all. I'm telling you that. From my point of view. And if you get a good person like Brother Joe, happen to have luck in that area, that's a blessing. If you have parents that are dysfunctional as hell, and you need somebody else to take care of that, there's a lot of that going around too. But even that's difficult to find the right person to parent that child. It's not easy. So, but back to what Brother Fatim was speaking, I have a daughter who's my oldest daughter, and she is a proper child. Can you hear me? Because it's not sounding that clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so let me go back to my experience because I got to release the book. But I took my daughter's ass. She was 14. She was hanging out with the wrong crew, spending the night out, and I was definitely a no-no. They would tell me I was too strict as a mother. But she was hanging out. I whipped her ass. And when I was whipping her ass, and I didn't even beat my kids. Like, never. I know, like, I used to get ass whipping. I'm not going to whip my child or whatever. And so this time I said, no, I need to spank her. I did whip her with a belt. And guess what she did? She started scratching herself. And then I heard about there's something called self-mutilization. Did y'all know that?
I know about that.
White children do this. They mark themselves, bruise themselves, scratch themselves.
Or cut themselves.
Right. I heard that's common. And that's what my daughter did. So when she went to school, it was like, the story goes, and the person was like, what happened to her? And I was a Sunday school teacher at the time. So I was involved in the church, and I want Brother Fatim. I was very involved in the education department. As a matter of fact, I got an invite from the White House on education. So I just want to let you, for the record, through the Clinton administration. So anyway, and I ran for school board. So I was always there.
Good.
But I saw some things in the school that wasn't right either. So the principal said, I heard the story was like, well, what happened to you? She got scratches on her arms. She scratched her face. She did her damn self. So these kids know what they're doing. So I get a call from ACS, Child Protective Services. Then I found out Child Protective Services was going to, and I was politically involved. So I didn't know which way that tax was coming, right? So they come to the house and they go to the school. My son was telling me that the worker promised him some new Air Jordans too. They come to my house. My house looked like Martha Stewart, okay? So, and then I told to the worker, my daughter needs mental health. And at the time, Sister Jack, they didn't have the insurance to cover mental health. And that's when I became active in mental health and children, because they said my insurance wouldn't pay for it. And I knew my oldest daughter had a mental problem, but I wasn't too sure how to get help for her. So I spoke to the ATS CPS worker because I thought that CPS, they usually have connections to housing and they give funding for children who have mental illness. And she at the time, well, this was 25 years ago, she at the time had said that she could not help me. And as a matter of fact, I want to let you know, I had another son. I put him into some type of group home type thing because he had problems. He would break up the walls, he wouldn't listen. But I'm going by one of my aunts who put her sons in one of these programs for kids who don't behave. So I think these are support systems for families. And they work with the family and the child, but come to find out, see, I didn't know at the time that it does not do that at all. It helps destroy the family. And I learned that through the years going through the court system. But to make a long story short, even the church where I was at, I was a Sunday school teacher, the bishop was like, the first lady, they call her, and this was the African church at the time, by the way. They was like, well, what happened to Kiana? Because that's her name. I was like, I got with her behind, and she scratched herself.
Mm.
You know, ACS came, I didn't get no support, and they came with the police, and I found out, because my daughter wasn't there, they was coming to take my children, my youngest children.
Mm.
My father was there, they was like, what? Another group of officers and ACS workers came, they was like, they wasn't supposed to do that. So from then and there, that's when I became a family advocate, because then I saw the bureaucracy. As a matter of fact, I've had discussions with the Mayor Bloomberg. I was very politically involved, but I saw some things that wasn't right. So when you are one of those family members or mothers that really fight the system, they target you and they go against you. So
That's right.
Just want to let you know that part. Also, the children are taught to manipulate, to try to get what they want through the system to go back at you, and that's very wrong and unfair.
Thank you, Sister Mashawn. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for those comments. You know, family, that's real talk. And the system, the targeting. Listen, y'all got to pay attention. Our problem is we ain't paying attention. I hate to go there, and I know sometimes, and I can, and Brother Patine, I can say it to you, my brother, because I love you dearly, because you say put it in context. We're not paying attention. You know, and here's the thing. All this stuff, these little things we're not paying attention of. Let me get biblical on you and hit Sister Jax. In the Bible, it say it's the small foxes that ruin the vine. See, it's the little things. I ain't got to pay attention to that. I ain't got to pay attention to that. That don't mess with me and my family. I ain't got to worry. And then the next thing you know, the whole community is eroded because we're not paying attention. And then we're too busy fighting amongst each other, debating stuff that really all it is my microphone bigger than yours. I'm bigger than you, which all this going on while the enemy and the oppressor has a set plan to completely dominate, destroy our community, and that they wind up in a position where we go back to the good old days of guess what? And then y'all sitting there going, man, what happened? What happened is y'all were lackadaisical and you stopped paying attention.
That's right. And you know what, Joe? If we realize that scripture says that God is not the author of confusion.
Come on.
What's the opposite of that?
Come on.
Satan is the author of confusion.
Come on.
So we're all confused and don't know where we are, what we're doing, who we are, whatever the hell's going on. Satan is the author of confusion. And if we recognize that some of our kids are devils and demons and wicked as hell, but yet we don't want to teach them about God. So it's kind of oxymoronic, because how do you combat the devil? By trying to bring some light into the picture. And the light in the picture is the Most High. So there's a balance that we have to really recognize. And like I always say, we got to set boundaries and be an example, you know, to our children. I used to tell my kids when they were smaller, when I had to, you know, light their little butts up, especially mainly my daughter, my son, not so much so actually. But, you know, I would tell her, look, you could call somebody if you want. Here's the number, 877-NJ Abuse. You know, this is the number. I said, but guess what? They're going to take you out the house, and I don't know where you're going to end up. Mommy's still going to be at home. You know, I'm still going to be at home, and they'll probably make me do some parenting classes, but guess what? I teach parenting classes. I'm just disciplining you. If you're being mouthy or sassy or rude, I'm never going to try to hurt you, you know. And then when you fast forward, I was doing a workshop recently, and the little girl was sharing how she's a cutter. She shared it in the workshop, and she showed us her arms and showed us how she cuts herself, like the self-mutilation you guys are talking about. And she was just saying, when I cut myself, it just feels so good, you know? And so it goes to show like the mental, you know, status that's going on with some of these children, that it feels good. And the kids were looking at her like, girl, you crazy as hell. Why are you going to, you know, take the scissors or take a razor and actually cut yourself, you know? And then she talked about all the time she's wanted to commit suicide and, you know, things that are going on in the home. But a lot of this stuff starts out with whatever is going on in the home. That's why I say we have to guard our homes, guard who we talk to, guard who we let in our homes, you know, guard where we go, our children. Stop letting these devices raise them. And like somebody said in the chat, you know, many times parents are letting their kids be babysat by devices. They get in the car. What do? Throw them the phone or the tablet. They, you know, drive, you know, they on the bus. Here's the phone or the tablet. They sitting outside. Here's the phone. No, you don't need that. Occupy your mind with something else. Give them a damn hardcover book. Let them read a book. Let them do some coloring pages, some drawing. You can get a book at the dollar store to keep your kid preoccupied. Give them a book from the dollar store and 3 crayons and sit in the back seat and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But
so Joe said that, I'm gonna comment on both of your what both of y'all said. First thing Joe said, that some parents are not paying attention. He didn't say some, he said parents are not paying attention. I'm saying some parents are not paying attention. So I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Some parents, but on the other hand, the flip side of that is some of these parents are doing this new parenting. Jax just brought it up, this new style of parenting. And me and my cousin got into this conversation a couple of days ago about this new style of parenting. And this new style of parenting has empowered the kids. Mm-hmm. It has empowered the kids to the point that they're almost on the level as the parent. You're negotiating with them. I think there's a time to negotiate about something that you may want. You get good grades. I want these sneakers. I want a bike. That's negotiating. That's fine. I mean, even though you're supposed to get good grades, I think if you go well beyond, I believe in rewarding, because rewarding is like that short-term goal, and long-term goals is about rewarding, but it's about putting in the work. And I like that. I don't have a problem. But this new style of parenting, I keep saying that too many times that a lot of these slip-ups, parents are there and they're paying attention, but they're doing it differently now. And by them doing it differently, I think the combination of how it was done back in the day with the combination of now, but still the parent is still the parent and the child is still the child. And that's where that is. Now, I'm glad you talk about cutting, because I came friends with 2 people. One I met as I was calling about a bill. And you know me, Jax, because me and Hanifa used to talk about it. If we call a representative, she never wanted a female. She wanted a man. She can put that voice on. She know that guy gonna flirt. She can get what she needs. I get that negotiation. And she knew me. I don't want that man. I want that female. Mm-hmm. She know I'm a flirt. She don't get. I became friends. Matter of fact, I became friends with somebody to call with the wrong number that Joe knows. That Joe told me that she passed. She called me by accident, and I became friends with her. Mm. But anyway, I met this young lady who cut herself. But then we had my wife's girlfriend had a friend that also did that. And you talked about cutting yourself. And this is where you got to understand. See, when you say it, let's go and understand it. When they cut themselves, she said, I feel so good. That's adrenaline. Mm-hmm. It's a rush, because remember, you're toying with doing it. You're pushing and pulling. Am I going to do it or not going to do it? You're tussling with it. So when you go ahead and push, you've built yourself up. Remember, there's tension. You built yourself up. Once you cut yourself, you did it. It's released. Mm-hmm. It's the same kind of rush that you get with drugs. Mm-hmm. So, and it's the same kind of rush you get with meditation. And if you pray right, I ain't talking about talking in tongues. If you pray right, you exercise right, you even get it out of sex as well. Don't confuse this, y'all. Don't take it in the gutter. It's the understanding of the science of the body. So when we look at things that are more on the positive side, prayer, meditation, in sexual relations, and it builds up in the release, it's that heroic feeling. Same with drugs, it brings that heroic feeling. Cutting myself brings that heroic feeling. Some people shooting another person. Yeah. Somebody told me they shot and killed somebody. He said to me, you don't know what I felt when I did it. Mm-hmm. At the moment, I didn't regret it. And the power I felt when I pulled that trigger. Do y'all understand? Y'all don't understand, because I hear y'all at times when you talk on this program and you make statements, but you don't understand why people do certain things and the feeling that they're getting. Jax, you went deep when you talked about cutting, and the girl said she felt good. That's why some people turn to drugs, or they turn to women, or because it's a coping mechanism. It's a rush. It's a feel good, because a lot of times we feel that we need to feel good. And that's why we can't just say, Joe, you're right. We got to do better, but we have to break these things down so people can understand why we do these things, what they're feeling, and how we can counter them before we can do better. We can't just keep saying, oh, do better. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me in the chat, so if the kids are the devils, I like what you use the word demons. I like the word demons better. Demons, should the penalties be harsher? I think the penalties should fit the crime. I think there should be rehabilitation as well, because you look at Malcolm X. Malcolm X was going down the wrong road. He was rehabilitated. And the rehabilitation, I can't always rely on the jail system, who is in business to incarcerate us, to rehabilitate us. You understand? Malcolm wasn't rehabilitated by the jail system. He was rehabilitated by somebody that was a member of the Nation of Islam inside the jail, and he corresponded with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then when he got out, he got more resources and became a member. There are certain people and organizations that can help rehabilitate. We can't just rely on the system. Just like Mashawn said, sometimes you think that the system is helping you, that by they putting out these programs, but they're hurting you.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You're so right, Brother Fatin. And although he did connect ultimately with, Elijah Muhammad, and, God is what rehabilitated him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The power of God is what, and
which was in him. Remember, go back to what I said, the God that's in you. Keep going.
Okay, the God that's within you, the higher power, is what has the power to do that. You understand? And that's what I talk about also. I mentioned before with psychopaths and sociopaths. Even when children are pulling or adults are pulling the trigger, many times once you kill that first person, you get such a rush, just like that first high. You want it again. So you'll chase trying to get that first high for the next 60 years if you don't get the help that you need to try to stop. So these kids will pull that trigger and they're like, damn, I never felt so much power. You feel, the what was it, the back blast or whatever it is, Joe, the kickback, from the gun, and you smell it and you see what that person's going through, especially if you had aught with that person, especially if you're angry with that person. And now you see that you have the power and you're looking over that person and you see them maybe begging for their lives or bleeding out. Mentally, it does something to you, and that's why I say when we take it back to slavery, that wasn't that long ago. Now, when you look at those old school pictures, some of those black and white pictures of those little girls, little boys, 3, 4, 5 years old, standing outside with their little church clothes on, with their mother, their father, standing there with the strange fruit, our ancestors hanging from a tree. And they're smoking cigarettes and cigars, and they're eating and they're drinking. And, they even look, the adults look like demons standing there while the lifeless body of our people are hanging. But do you think those little kids who witness that on a regular basis are normal? No, the hell they're not. Now those same little kids grew up to be our judges and our congressmen and our lawyers and our doctors and our police and, all type of law enforcement. That is, those little kids grew up. They're not the same anymore. And we wonder why we're treated in such ways, right? So we got to do better, like you always say, and really understand where all this stuff is stemming from and who really is around us.
Come on. That's real talk. So, Brother Fatin and Sister Jax, I will say this. And Brother Fatin, you brought up something. I'm going to go a little deeper in the rabbit hole. Had Malcolm X done what he did as Detroit Red today, most of us would have not wanted to deal with him and have thrown him away. Man, that brother ain't never gonna be nothing.
Well, he was thrown away. He was thrown away.
And the truth about the matter is that happens too many times today in our society amongst us as a people. We discard and throw away folks because of the mistakes they have made, not seeing that we have examples that you can mess up and make a comeback to be an iconic figure in our community. Malcolm X is the perfect example.
Well,
Malcolm X did not start off as Malcolm X. If we stop talking about when he became Malcolm X and talk about what he was before he was Malcolm X, it should give us all hope that no one should be wrote off. No one should ever be wrote off. Too many times in our culture, in our society, Black and brown folks, especially African Americans, we write folks off in a heartbeat.
I think I went deeper, Joe. I said that when the jail system is not the rehabilitation.
Exactly.
We have to have the proper programs to rehabilitate them. So let me just finish. You have to have the proper programs.
But you kind of jumped in and let me
Okay,
finish.
well, you said we don't throw away people.
It had nothing to do with the jail system. F the jail system. F
No, you
every
can't.
system.
But you got to put them in jail if they're doing wrong.
Me and you.
You got to put them in the jail system if they're doing wrong and they're breaking the law.
Sir, yes, there are systems out there and the system will do what the system was designed to do. But we as a people, I ain't talking about a system. I'm talking about the heart and soul of you and I. We too quick to write folks off. Black folks are too quick to write black folks off. While at the same time, we have been programmed to write our people off, but exalt people that don't look like us. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying we've got to stop writing folks off because Malcolm is the perfect example.
But what do you mean? I mean, no, Malcolm is the example of someone that was rehabilitated outside of the system. Malcolm was not, he's an example of somebody that was rehabilitated. A lot of our folks that go to jail and make the mistakes that Detroit Red don't have the rehabilitation facilities or tools to make them the Malcolm X to become that.
Hey, but Brother Fatim, what you made the point of, once again, you keep putting the system in here. The system is not what rehabilitated Malcolm. Jax was correct.
I just said that. Wait, Joe, what am I saying? I said the system didn't rehabilitate him. I said the nation rehabilitated him.
Whoa. Before we even put it on the nation, before I even give the credit to the nation, it was God.
No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. No, I'm not going there. You can go there. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
I give the nation all the credit that I believe the nation deserves. And the nation gets a great deal of credit with what they do.
Because if it was God that rehabilitated, then why didn't God step in there and rehabilitated them before he went to jail? That's what I'm saying. We got to be careful how we do this.
That's
all I'm saying. I'm just saying that when he was rehabilitated, I'm just saying when he was rehabilitated,
you look at it as if I'm discrediting somebody. Let me tell you something.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that. You're just saying that it was God, like it was some magical thing.
But hold up, brother. The Nation of Islam is a great place. And I believe we need more brothers and sisters to look at the Nation of Islam and the great thing that the great nation does for us as a people. But before I even put the nation up front, I got to put God before the nation. And it was the God that showed up. And Malcolm said, I'm going to take this God path with the nation, and the nation.
That's not true. If you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X and you go back and look at the movie, he did not say that. What he did say is once he was exposed, and I'm not elevating the nation. I don't care if it was a Catholic group. I don't care how you come into the light of God. I don't care how you come into that. But what I'm saying is the nation, the gentleman that Malcolm was exposed to, brought that God to Malcolm. He brought that to Malcolm. Then what Jack said, I totally agree with. The God within us. I keep saying that. A lot of times we like it's, well, God just sprinkled God dust on him and he just woke up. No, that didn't happen to Malcolm. He was exposed to knowledge. He was exposed to the Bible, the Holy Quran, and the teachings of the nation that woke up the God in him that put him in that direction. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But Brother Fatim, the nation, that's an organization, right?
Yes, so that's an organization.
Exactly. So the organization stood for something. They're like the consulate. They're the go in between, right? So even when the organization speaks, right? Even when you speak to a Muslim and you know how they'll say something like, like they always talk about, alhamdulillah and all praises, to the Most High. That is who they get their power and their strength from God, not just the God. It's like umbilical, right? You think about an umbilical cord. So the umbilical cord goes from the baby and it goes to the mom, right? So with our relationship with God, it goes from us, the God inside of us, to still a supreme being. They know that there still is.
And I agree with that. That's why I said I agree with that, Jax. Yeah. But I'm not going to say that. God, what I'm saying is I agree with that. I totally agree. You don't have to sell me on that. All I'm just saying is he was exposed by something. He didn't go into that jail and say, I'm turning my life around because of God. He did not say that.
I agree with that.
He didn't say that.
Listen.
And all I said was, and I talked against, and I agreed with Sister Mashawn, that a lot of times the system doesn't rehabilitate. They incarcerate, but they don't rehabilitate. And Malcolm, like other people, have been rehabilitated. Just like Brother Timothy Malashon that calls in here. What rehabilitated him? Something rehabilitated him that he had the foundation of God already. He talked about that. He was raised up in that. He had the foundation there. He had to get back to that foundation. How did he get back to that?
Right.
He was incarcerated. So what you're saying, Joe, is that too many times we throw away our kids. It's just that a lot of times we don't know how to get them back on track.
Right.
That's why it seems like we throw away our kids.
And that's why the scripture
my
says,
brother and my sister. Hold on. Here's what I wanted to say.
I love this today. This is good.
Sometimes, and look, it's 8 minutes to the top of the hour. Sometimes you got to understand once again how great God is. That spark or that individual who comes to light the spark was sent by God.
yes,
To light that spark because he knew it was in you. And he knew that he had to get a person to you to make you hear him through that person because you couldn't hear him through nobody else.
I give you that.
Great God.
I give you that.
I see God in everything. I understand that the brother who came to Malcolm and spoke to Malcolm and led Malcolm on the path that Malcolm began to go on into the Nation of Islam, into that organization. That man was led by God. It was God who set a spark in him that said, speak to this brother. Speak to this brother. I have imparted you with something to speak to this man to make him all of a sudden release what I have in him that I've had in him forever. Even though Malcolm had much love for the nation, he didn't stay with the nation to the end. So once again, but
no, it was a means to attain it in.
Hold on. But here's who he did stay with to the end. He stayed with God.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
like I said, they say all praise is due to Allah. You know, so that Allah is that whatever you're saying, the mystical, whatever, that is who the all praises are due to. You know, so that's just like in scripture, Brother Fatin, raise a child up in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. So we were all at some point raised up in the church when we were little kids, right? And guess what? At all points in our life, at some point in all of our lives, we was little devils. We was doing all types of stuff contrary to what we were taught, right? So we lost our way for a moment. But then God will put somebody else in your life sometimes to bring you back to that path. If he doesn't put somebody directly in your path, he'll make you endure some sort of trauma or some sort of catastrophe or event, something to break you to your knees, to show you, you know what, I got to look up because I can't do this on my own. I need that relationship, you know, with God to help me sustain and live and overcome.
Amen.
And without that relationship with God, I'm telling you, I don't give a damn what sauce people try to put on it. You need that relationship. You know, and we talk about the atheists, they do what they do. It is what it is, but you gonna need that relationship at some point. He will find a way to make you submit and bow down to him.
Hey, I'm gonna do this. We're getting ready to close out. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. And people, we've talked about parenting, we talked about foster care, we talked about CPS, listen, I've been involved in all of that. Through everything I've been through in my life, be it good, bad, be it I brought it on myself, whatever it was, God was always there. It was all God. I might not have seen it. I might not have realized it. I may not have acknowledged it. But there was many a times that death knocked at my door. God said, not today.
That's right.
And it was all God, the good, the bad, and the ugly. God even allowed me to be out of order and had mercy and grace on my life, not to take my life when he had the right to take my life because I was completely doing everything that he told me not to do. But he saw better in me than I saw in myself. So with that being said, here's what I'm going to do. It's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Family, we're going to try to close this thing out. Who do I start with? Brother Fatim, Sister Jackson, want to go first?
You know what? I'll just go ahead with the scripture that I always love, where it says, if you love me, you keep my commandments. So if we love the Most High, we need to keep his commandments and do as he instructs us to do, and just try to live a better life today than you lived yesterday, and just be a good person, be kind, be loving, raise your kids, the best way you can. If you don't really know what to do, get some extra help. Love on yourself, love on each other, and have a blessed Tuesday, y'all. Lord's will, we'll see you again tomorrow.
Amen.
I respect Sister Jackson, and I respect and love Sister Jackson. I respect and love Brother Joe. That don't mean that at times we are going to have conversation that seems that we have different views, or you got to dig deep and listen. And sometimes we're still saying the same thing. I'm going to say it like this because I heard what Sister Jack said, and I'm just going to say it a little differently. I can't sit here and tell you, what Joe and Jack said about God. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm not an atheist. I believe in the Most High. I can say God, I can say Allah, I can say Elohim. I can say, I got a lot more words you can use. Adoni, I can do a lot of things there. But what I'm trying to say is that the Bible is not the end. The Bible is a means to attain an end. It's a blueprint that if you are off point or need to get on point, it's a blueprint of getting back to God. We have to be careful because when we use the word God, sometimes we connect it to religion. Everybody's not religious, but they are still God-like. And when somebody says they're atheists and they don't believe in God, but they live their life in a righteous way and they walk in the same light as that book, who are we to say? Because they tap into certain energy. God is an energy source. It's an energy source. That Bible, and I learned this a long time ago, it's a means to attain an end. It's not the end. And some need that Bible and some don't need that Bible as much as others. Sister Jax she needs the Bible, but she don't need it as much as somebody new coming into the walk of life, getting back on track with God. So I'm saying be careful because a lot of times we tend to label ourselves and then label other people like they're not walking in the light of God, and they may be living their life more righteous than a lot of people that call themselves godlike. That's how my words today. Be careful.
Amen. Amen.
Can I interject real quick? I just gotta say something real quick. You said Sister Jackson might not. Oh, damn it, it froze. But you said Sister.
That's God. That's God frozen. I got you. Thank you, God. I got you.
You said Sister Jackson might not need it. I just want for a point of clarity. Sister Jackson needed more than anybody else, right? I probably need it.
That's why you froze.
And I say that for the simple fact that when you're trying to do what's right, Satan wants to get you even harder, right? Mm-hmm. So although it might not seem that I need God, and I'm not tied to religion either, I just go with the Bible, right? So although it might not seem as though I need God, I need him more now than ever, because for the first time in my life, I am truly trying to follow his word and follow and honor his laws. So I need him now more than ever because Satan is coming harder and harder every day, but I can't give up. And like the scripture says, don't get weary in well doing. So for my closing words again, don't get weary in well doing, y'all, and fight harder. And the stronger, the closer you are to trying to be righteous and do the right thing, just know the devil's coming 10 times harder.
And,
God's got your back when you follow his law.
And you froze because of God, but also I'm not froze. So at the end of the day, you watch the movie Cabin in the Sky, and you watch that old movie Cabin in the Sky. Jax is correct that when you're out there doing devilment, the devil don't come at you because you're already in the playpen. It's when you come out of that playpen and try to walk on that righteous side that you get more obstacles thrown and more temptation put in front of you of trying to pull you from doing the righteous thing. You can call it God, you can call it the devil, whatever you may do it, you got to understand what it is. And it comes down to energy. All right? Positive and negative energy. We had 2 closings.
Hi, family. First of all, I believe that my sister Jax froze because the enemy don't want you to hear the righteous word of God. So sometimes I'm not even going to put it on God.
Oh, the enemy now.
God allowed it.
It's always something negative happen. You want to put it on the devil.
No.
Never want to put it on God. That's fine. That's fine. But you hit $1 million. Oh, that's God. Oh, that was God. Okay.
Brother Fatim,
Shuffle
because
team.
guess what? Everything is
Because
God.
you know I'm gonna
Because
bring
watch
common
this.
sense to the conversation.
Hold it. Because if God allows it, God can stop it at any given time.
And he didn't. She stayed froze.
Right.
So they don't put it on the devil then. They don't put it on the devil.
Hold it.
But guess what? You can still hear me though.
Hold it. God, right. Hold it. God will allow the devil to do certain things to see if you lean more toward him or lean more toward the devil. At the end of the day, it was all God. But at the end of the day, what I'm telling folks is, even though you may freeze up, keep talking.
Keep talking. I'm keeping talking.
Even though you may freeze up, keep speaking God. Guess what? Because guess what? If you speak God will show up. Yeah, the enemy might make the screen freeze up, but you.
Oh, there you go again. It's the enemy that made the screen freeze. Why is it the enemy this all the time? It's the same thing with devil food cake and angel food cake. It's always the devil when it's something black or bad. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just
Go
saying.
ahead with that.
So with that being said, let me do what I need to do here. Bang. Let me do that. Let me do this. Family, be better today than you were yesterday. Be better today than you were yesterday. And today, do something to help somebody somewhere that there's no earthly way that they can pay you back. And always, always remember that there is no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he willingly can do for you. But when God is with you, nothing or no one will stand against you. We'll be back tomorrow for Work It Out Wednesday. After this Tell the Truth Tuesday, we got a lot we need to work out on tomorrow. Y'all be blessed. Have a great day. We up out of here. Peace.